Hi everyone, welcome to our thoughts on Back to the Future Part 2, 1989, the one that we're really celebrating because this is when Marty and Jennifer and Doc Brown went into the future and they came out October 21st, 2015, starting the clock 10 minutes. So, what do you remember about some of the moments that you like from this film and why it's so memorable?
Part 2 was... honestly, when it came out, it's what I dreamed about because it was finally the one that was going to the future. Whereas Part 1 was going to the past and then going back to the future, which was the present. This one actually, finally, we got to see what was 30 years from now going to be like.
Do you remember the first time you saw it and where you saw it or like who took you and stuff?
No, I don't, sadly.
But you did see it in the theater probably, right?
I know I do remember seeing it in the theater, but I want to say it was probably like Downey Avenue or something like that. No, it had to have been in Washington State, so I don't remember where it was.
Well, I did go to the Downey Avenue, and I think my mom was there, my mom's friend, and my friends were there. We're all, all friends from church, and we went down. We were so excited because, yes, it's the sequel. We loved Back to the Future because we had it on VHS cassette, and I probably watched it more than 100 times in the 2 years before the movie actually got released. So to see it in the theater, to see that future, it was so outrageous, and see the cool things like the hoverboard and Jaws 19 and the lace thing, the laces. I think.
Dude, the power
flying
laces,
cars, the flying cars.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I think
why has Nike not done that yet?
Well, they're working on, and they did something, with Michael J. Fox and his foundation.
Did they?
But there's always rumors like it's going to exist someday or whatever. But the technology, I mean, hoverboards. I'm not going to get into it, but you have to create. Not only do you have to create the hoverboards, but you have to create the ground that the hoverboards can hover over because they need. Anyways, I'm not a scientist, but I just know that you need something more than just regular ground, not just water, because water you can't ride on them. But whatever. Yeah. But I think what resonated with me the most about that film was the special effects. To see scenes and characters that were played by the same actors, and it was just put together. It was nominated for visual effects that year, 1989. So there's a scene where they're all sitting around eating, and you know that Michael J. Fox is playing his daughter, Michael J. Fox is playing his son, Michael J. Fox is playing him, his older self, and then of course there's a character that's changed, even though it's the same character. It's just played by Elizabeth Shue from Karate Kid, where she plays the girlfriend, and then so she's now in the future too, and so the two actors. I just felt like all the effects.
Funny you remember
they still hold up pretty well.
I always think of her from Adventures in Babysitting.
Adventures in Babysitting. But, it just... Yeah, as you can see, the special effects is a little dated, but it looks so good. It does look good. I like those effects. It's kind of right before digital. It's like right before digital came around and just took over the world. Where CGI took over the world. But I like the effects where there's people at the table and they're talking to each other, and it's kind of played by the same actor, and then you get to see all the stuff that kind of Back to the Future has predicted in some way. We can talk on our phones now. We can actually have a conversation and talk to people on our phones.
That was the one thing that I actually was shocked that they didn't have in the show.
In the movie?
Was cell phones.
Well, yeah, they didn't. I don't know if they were thinking. They had something where it's kind of like you can go to a phone booth still, and you can probably talk to somebody through maybe FaceTime or something. But I like that they had the screen. The screen was it's a widescreen when he's talking to his boss or his Needles, played by Flea.
Yeah.
It's a big widescreen television.
Well, it was basically through their TV.
Yeah.
So it was like they had cameras on the TVs. Totally. That I guess they predicted correctly.
Yeah, they had. I mean, of course, they didn't set out to try and predict the future. Of course, the future of Back to the Future Part 3. Back to the Future Part 2. It's a movie, so you can't go, oh, this is not the future. We were hoping this would be the future. We have flying cars.
The auto-fitting shirts was cool.
Yeah,
or the jacket that could auto-fit.
But cool. People probably will complain that the future of Back to the Future 2 is now the present, the past. It's now the past. As we're doing this video, it is now the past.
It is now the past.
It is now the past. Because now it is October 22nd, 2015.
Back to the past.
Back to the past. But I watched it on the big screen and seeing all the jokes and the Jaws 19, and I think what really they did a good job with that is predicting sequels and reboots, and the whole joke of because the Jaws franchise sucked after the first one. The first one's a masterpiece, and then they all sucked. And then this one they're saying Jaws 19, so it's kind of making fun of the fact that Hollywood loves to just reboot and make sequels and stuff like that.
Totally.
So I love that prediction.
Clip too.
But that's just part of the film, of course.
Yeah.
What's the most important part of the film for me is kind of Biff in the movie. He really plays a major part in this film.
Was Biff's
you get to see him as young Biff. You get to see him as future Biff, or Griff is his kid or his grandson or something. You get to see old Biff in this one. And again, as you said before we shot this video, this one really utilizes the future, the past, and the present. It's really the only one that really, I mean, the future, not the future of 1985, you know, when they're in the past, like when they're talking about the 50s and then we're in the future of 1985. No, but like we get to see the future, we get to see
the present,
the past, and how the plot kind of interweaves through that. And I want to mention something. I remember the first time seeing this and enjoying the biggest part was the beginning and watching all the futuristic stuff. That's what I enjoyed as a kid.
Was cool.
That's what I enjoyed as a kid. Yeah. I remember the plot really confused me. It wasn't until I saw it on video repeatedly where it's like, oh, okay, so there was an alternative universe, and now that's why Biff and how that worked. I didn't understand any of that the first time I saw the film. It was really confusing.
It's really, like, this is the type of movie where you really want to be able to, if you can handle sitting down and watching a trilogy in one sitting. I mean, maybe take, like we did in the theaters, they had 15-minute intermissions between each one.
Yeah.
But literally, like, right where one drops off, that same day, that next one picks up. I mean, they're not like a year later or a month later. They're literally like, you know, as soon as they like disappear into the future or the past, then, you know, at the end of that movie, right as they're leaving, the dude's coming right, like Marty McFly's coming right back and, oh, I'm back from the future now. And so, I mean, yeah, you really, it ties in really well because they're really tied in like perfectly when you watch all three of them together. We
got a few more minutes to talk, so just really quick, your favorite moment or reason,
favorite
other than
scene?
all the special effects that we talked about and all the cool futuristic stuff. What is your favorite moment of Back to the Future Part 2, or like favorite element of the movie?
Favorite element of Part 2 is, I mean, it's just it's really got to be about the traveling. I mean, because this is like you were saying, and we were talking earlier, this is the movie where you get to see him see all the different, like the past, present, and future together, and it's really just, this is the one that takes the biggest adventure, I think, because he's not just going to the past or just going to the present or the future, he's going to the past, present, and future. And you really get to see it all. And I really liked, for my favorite scene, probably in this one, is just when he first walks down the alleyway and he's like, this is the future, you know? And you just walk out and you see the city hall and how it's got a gorgeous pond out there and the kids got hoverboards, and, you know, he goes and changes into that future jacket and goes into the store and sees wannabe Max Headroom. Remember, Max Headroom was a total knockoff in this movie.
But you have Michael Jackson in the 80s,
which was a Max Headroom style. Like
yeah. And I like that the 80s stuff was because we're still in the 80s. We're in the late 80s when this movie came out, and it's making fun of the 80s, what's going on in the 80s.
Totally.
So my favorite element, I will say, of this story, I love the special effects, and I love the futuristic stuff, and the relationship between Marty and Doc Brown. Again, everybody's really great in this film. And I think this is a great, fun movie. It's a step down from the last one, but that's okay. It still had a really, just an entertaining. It's a whole entertaining experience. But what I love about this movie the most is what Biff, or the Tannins, or Tanner, whatever that is, what he goes through, and you see all elements of him. You see Tom Wilson. Okay, I just want to talk about Tom Wilson. The great actor, Tom Wilson, great comedian. He has so much range and presented in this film. He has so many arcs. Yes, he's the bad guy. Biff will always be the bad guy,
or the lovable bad guy.
Lovable bad guy.
Lovable bad guy.
But there's this one moment in the film.
Such a dork.
There's this one moment in the film where he's the old man in the past. He goes back to give the almanac to his younger self. And there's a moment where he's overhearing his younger self talk about the manure situation and what's going through that because he had to pay for it and stuff. And you see in Tom Wilson as playing older Biff, and he's like, and he hears about the manure, he's like, I remember that. And you see a little bit of the humanity in Biff. A little bit of like,
Yeah.
as a human being, a person, instead of just this bad guy that just makes so many bad choices and does so many terrible things to our favorite characters. So I'd have to say my favorite moment is watching Biff just have that nice human moment. Like, I remember the manure where it just got all over me, and he kind of smiles and it says, it's probably a bad memory, but looking back at it, it might be like, that wasn't so bad. Is that weird as that sounds? So anyways, what is your favorite moment of Back to the Future Part 2? Share it down below. And again, happy Back to the Future Day, which we're celebrating this whole week, probably.
October 21st, 2015.
Yeah, and so we'll be back for talking about Back to the Future Part 3, the final film. Bye, everyone.